Fabulous.
Drinking with Authors may contain adult content. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of Drinking with Authors. I am your host, the author Nick Savage. This episode, as every episode, is brought to you by Four Horsemen Publications. Check them out at fourhorsemenpublications.com. And if you want to know what I'm holding in my hand, it is a bottle empty now of Herradura Añejo tequila that I've had for far too many years because I'm not a huge tequila drinker. But I am drinking it tonight because joining us is author of the Romantasy, SCA, there's a theme there, Serenades series, J.D. Harbour. So, J.D., welcome tonight.
Thank you so much, Nick. I appreciate you having me, and cheers for the tequila tonight.
Yes, and when you're done cheersing, tell us what you're drinking.
So I am drinking my favorite. It's a spicy margarita, and it's just a standard margarita, but I add in, it's a Serrano chili drops that I found. Actually, I found on Virgin Voyages, they do it with their spicy margaritas. And so I was able to find the drops that they use, and I brought it to my own home bar.
I have used those before in other drinks, and they are fantastic.
Yes.
They're a good spicy alcoholic drink is hard to make, but when you can make them, because not all alcohols go spicy.
No,
you can make them. They're good. Yeah, this.
And tequila is one of those that definitely has that ability. I've had some that they say are spicy, and you drink it, and it's basically sugar. And then I've had others where I was at a bar down in Mexico, and I told the guy, make it spicy. He's like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "White boy, are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, make it spicy," and he killed me.
I myself love hot sauce. Now, alcoholic drinks should have a nice balance, but with hot sauces, I have everything in my fridge from like, is this actually considered a hot sauce, to use it sparingly by the drop type stuff.
Yes, absolutely. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, and I actually got a hot sauce I got to try for free. Got a bottle, and it's by Crippled Hot Sauces, but it's their stacked hot sauce line, and it's only 1 out of 5, jalapeno ratings. It is not spicy, but the flavor is actually pretty legit. So, little plug for them. No, we're not sponsored.
I will have to look them up.
They're definitely worth it. I've seen him online, like doing his crippled stuff, because the kid's got cerebral palsy, and so he's in his wheelchair. He's like, crippled hot sauces. I like hot stuff, and I want to make it. I'm like, oh, let me try it out. And so I was really glad I got to try this, because I think you'll enjoy it if you like hot sauces.
Absolutely, and my son also has cerebral palsy, so I'm right there on board. I will be looking them up as soon as we get off this call.
Well, can we talk about that for a moment? Not your son in particular, but the condition.
Yes.
Because growing up, stigmas aren't what they used to be for a lot of things. Many things across the board, they're not what they used to be. And as you, learn, educate yourselves, whatever, and you realize that people with disabilities or handicaps or whatever you want to call them, can be super intelligent despite the outward appearance of maybe slowed speech or whatever because of the condition of the brain.
Absolutely.
There is a comedian who I absolutely love. She is hysterical, and I can't pronounce her last name, but Tina Frimley, I want to say is how you pronounce it.
I'm not completely familiar. I've seen a few. There's like a pair that I've seen a few times where he speaks into the mic, and then his female partner uses like a text or a button to speech to her jokes.
See, I don't know that one. I know the mute comedian. I can't remember his name. He's just the mute comedian. He can't speak at all. And he's got like a little handheld device. It's like a phone that he uses. He usually duets with Fiona McCauley, who's got Frederick's ataxia. So she's losing muscle control. And I think it's pronounced Frimmel is the comedian I'm thinking of. And she's all about incorporating her cerebral palsy, shit. I can't even say it properly. Into her act and stuff like that, and she is just hysterical. But it's a FRIML. I typed it up while you were talking.
Okay.
But I'll have to look up the other one to see if I can see that as well, because there's all sorts of comedians, people out there making more money than people without disabilities. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And it's just one of those things where society has gotten rid of the stigmas. And if you can do it, if you can dream it and your body allows you, you can go out there and do a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? That
absolutely. I tell my son all the time that he needs to get busy and make me $1 million. It's not coming for me, so he's got a better chance than I do.
No, but speaking of things that are making us money, my segues are absolutely horrible. It's great. When I get famous, it's going to be for my ridiculously bad segues. Your series, the Romanticy Serenades.
Yes,
it's a series, and all I know, because I don't get a lot of time to research, but all I know is they take place on a cruise ship, and it has to do with your background. So take it away. You got all the time you want. Tell us all about the series and what inspired them and all that jazz.
absolutely. So the Romanticy Serenades began as just one book. As I wrote it, I was looking to get into writing. I was looking for a creative output after I left the military, and writing kind of came to me. And I was talking to some people about, okay, what should I write and all that, and everybody was like, write what you love. And so my brain just kind of went back to, I met my wife on a cruise ship. I loved our love story, and so I kind of started adapting that into a novel at first, and then it kind of snowballed from there and grew into this whole series of love on the high seas is the most unexpected place, but also the conditions are perfectly right for connections to happen. So it kind of grew from there. The story that I wrote about my wife and I's love story was actually the third book that I released. I had that 95% written, and then I took a pause because I didn't know what the hell I was doing, which don't we all? So I took a pause, went back, started different stories, and I wrote and released Emerald Tide, Sapphire Seas, and Amplified Pyrite before I returned back to my wife's love story and released Scarlet Wave, and then Golden Shores and Riot Amber.
I'm assuming, I'm making an assumption, I could be wrong, but it sounds like with the way you wrote an earlier book and then stopped and then went back and became a later book, that the series is not serial. You can pick up any book within the series and enjoy a standalone kind of story. Yes,
100%. And I was kind of inspired by like Bridgerton in that sense, where each story focuses on a different person, different couple, and it dives into that story. There are some minor characters that will pass over in between. They are technically written or they're released in order as for the timeline and whatnot. But that being said, if you read book 4, it's not gonna spoil book 1. You're not gonna be lost in book 4 because you haven't met this character in book 1.
See, I envy that. That is a technique that I have yet to master.
Yes, but going through, as you read more and more of the stories, you start to pick up like, oh, I recognize her, I recognize him. Oh, he was a side character, but now he's a main character, and vice versa.
So I have to ask, because finding love on a cruise ship, I have 3 different scenarios in mind in which you met your wife, and I'm curious as to if I'm even close. Were either one of you working for the cruise line in which you met on the ship?
No, we were not. We were both passengers.
You were both. Were you with a significant other, either of you?
We were not. We were both on it as solo travelers.
That is not one of the scenarios I had in mind.
So we met through, so they're back in the day, and the company that we use has since gone on, but there's other companies that kind of do similar. They host a singles cruise where it's not necessarily a cruise for dating purposes, but it's a group of sailors who all travel together. And on the cruise that we met, there were about 200 of us, just solo travelers from all over the country, all over the world, all linked up on this cruise ship. We did activities together. We did short excursions and everything. And it just so happened that my wife and I met on that, and sparks flew, and here we are today.
That is a wonderful abbreviated story on how you met, and I am sure your book on it is much longer than that.
Yes. So the book that I wrote is very heavily fictionalized version of our love story. I carried over, like, the first date for the main characters in that book is very similar to our first date. The itinerary that we sailed on is the same itinerary that the characters sail on. Some of the events that transpire later in the book mirror some of the events that happened for my wife and I, but it's all very heavily fictionalized. It's not autobiographical. It is inspired by.
Okay, so here's my next question then, because I did not find in my research time if your books are YA or adult only, steamy, open door, closed door, any of that stuff.
They are open door. They are spicy. They are various levels of spicy. Some are, I'll throw in one sex scene. Some I'll throw in, 5, 6, depending on what the story calls for. I don't consider my books to be smut. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I tend to view my stories, the sex scenes in my stories, as character driven or character progressing type scenarios. So it's not just let's have sex just because it's been 3 chapters and we need to have sex again. It's there's a progression to the sex happening.
I'm actually with you on that, and it's not my podcast for me to talk about myself, but I do similar things with my scenes, so I definitely understand that. And I agree with you. There's nothing wrong with smut. If you like to read your porn instead of watch it, there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, 100%.
Just not our style of writing, apparently. So, hey.
Right.
I want to change, or actually something I want to say. So if anyone reads the 4th book, you're not reading about his sex life. It is fictionalized. I want to pivot though for a second, because you said you were in the military, and yes. It also, I read that you were the military photojournalist.
Yes. I was so my story started out of high school. In high school, I was a dumb twat and typical teenager, barely made it to graduation. So I had no choice after high school. I had to kind of join the military or stay home with mom and dad. So I joined the military. The recruiter's like, I can get you a job as a photojournalist. I'm like, well, I sucked at English in high school. He's like, don't worry, you just take photos. I'm like, all right, whatever. Got in the military and learned that there was a whole lot of writing, which I wound up falling in love with based on the storytelling aspect. Like, being in the military, my job was to meet other soldiers, learn their stories, and then share that with the world. One of my favorite stories that I remember from my time in the military, we were deployed to Iraq. The head chef at the dining facility in Baghdad came from New York City. The food over there sucked. There's no bones about it. But he reached back to some contacts that he had back home in New York. They shipped out a pizza oven and supplies, including water, from New York City, so he could make pizza for the troops once a month. And So that was the kind of stories that I love to share.
That's very impressive. Like, I think when a lot of people, and I don't mean to interrupt, I mean, I guess I do. I'm sorry that I'm being rude.
No, it's perfectly fine.
I love when people are like, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Obviously you did. Politeness. It's funny and lying. So a lot of people, and me included, when you think photojournalist, you think of like the battlefield, you know what I'm saying, type stuff. And you were a little safer than that.
Well, I did still encounter some of that. There were still opportunities where, the soldiers that I covered, they could have been the chef of the defect. They could have been the supply specialist, making sure everybody's got all their beans and bullets to tackle their job. They could be the personnel people who's making sure the soldiers are getting their money. And it could also be the frontline soldiers who are out there firing the weapons or in harm's way. And I would be right there beside them on some missions.
Okay. Because I know and I support the troops. So what I'm about to say is going to sound weird. But in this country, there's a kind of general consensus that if you're a soldier, you see combat. You're on the front lines, and they forget about the thousands of other jobs that are filled by tens of thousands of other soldiers that are office jobs or other jobs. And while all soldiers know how to fight, regardless of the branch of military, because eventually action may come, it's only a certain percentage of soldiers that actually see the combat on the regular or at all.
And yeah, absolutely. 100%. Every soldier is a soldier first before they're a supply specialist, before they're a gym trainer or anything like that. They are a soldier first. If they're called upon to go out and face an enemy, that's what their job is to do. Granted, in most wartime scenarios, if you've got a unit of 100 different jobs and you have a task to go fight a battle, you're not going to call on the chef to pick up his rifle to go if you've got 15 infantrymen ready to go. So
it is something to know then for the common, civilian, that not every person in the military sees combat firsthand like that.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, 100%.
It is something that I wanted to touch on because I think especially with like May is Military Appreciation Month. And I could be Armed Forces Appreciation.
Yes. Yes, that is correct. It's the month of the military child, Military Appreciation Month. Memorial Day is in May. All of those things happen in the month of May.
And I feel like the military members who don't see combat are often forgotten about. You know what I'm saying? Like anytime you do your military discount and they're all, thank you for your service. And there's kind of this implied thing that like you were out there with a gun in your hand in the trenches instead of, you could have been the guy behind the radar. You know what I'm saying? Like just looking at it and stuff.
Right.
And I'm not saying that in any sort of like, it's less than being out there fighting, but the general thought is Military Appreciation Month. We only care about, the soldiers who are out there fighting when there's thousands of other jobs being done that are just as important on, you know what I'm saying, the different levels and stuff like that. And I think we need to recognize that as well.
Yes, 100%. And in my books, I even Golden Shores is a military romance in that it deals with some PTSD. It deals with some of the heavier topics. Even though it's a cruise ship story, the soldier who goes on that cruise still has to figure out some of these issues that stem from combat zone operations. But even in that, that character is not a infantryman. The people that he interacts with within his unit are not infantrymen. They're not frontline people, but that doesn't mean that they hadn't seen some of that stuff in the past.
Exactly. And I'm not trying to diminish anyone who doesn't see combat. I'm actually trying to bring light to the fact that they're just as important.
Yes.
Because I think, especially nowadays with the geopolitical climate, and I'm not going to get into that, military might and strength of the individual soldier is kind of being emphasized when there's so much more to the military than just guns and ammo.
Right.
No
Absolutely.
copyright infringement. Did not mean to copyright infringe the name of that magazine. But no. So, okay, here's a strange question because I am now halfway through the rest of my tequila. And for anyone listening, this tequila is like 5 years old. And it's actually, I've never been, okay, hold on. Before I get to my question, I have to segue or sideline, non sequitur this. This is why when you write, you have an editor. I've never been a tequila fan straight. But I got to say, Herradura Añejo straight on the rock, well, on the rocks, not neat.
Mm-hmm.
It has a very kind of subtle, smoky, jalapeno-y flavor. And if you're a straight tequila fan, give this shit a try because I'm kind of fucking impressed. Also, a little drunk right now.
Good.
I think you need to drink more and catch up with me. But I'm kind of like, I could do this. But where was I going? Question. Oh, okay. So you've been on more than 20 cruises in your life.
Yes, I have.
And I asked this because I constantly hear in the news about how a husband and wife were on their honeymoon, and one of the two, mainly the wife, fell overboard accidentally. You've survived 20 cruises without falling overboard.
I've survived 20 cruises without my wife being pissed off enough to throw me overboard. That's more the correct answer.
Yeah, well, yeah. My question is how hard is it or easy is it for someone to fall overboard? Like, aren't there like railings that are kind of like?
Yes. No, like, it is extremely difficult, and I would say 9 times out of 10, there's foul play involved if you see something about overboard. And whether that's foul play as in, somebody shoved somebody overboard, whether that's foul play, alcohol's induced, they're messing around, they're climbing up on the railings or something, it is not going to be, oh, I just tripped over a loose tile and fell off the ship.
Okay.
It is never going to be that.
Because I've never been on a cruise before. My wife wants to go. She thinks I'll love it. I think I'll love it.
I know a great travel agent that can hook you up.
Yes, you do that. I grew up in Chicagoland, and I love the city. I love the lights. I love it. But there's something very alluring to me, and I know a cruise ship isn't exactly quiet any time of day or night, or at least in my mind, they're never quiet. It's kind of like Vegas on the ship. There's something very alluring to me about the silence of like a small boat in the middle of the ocean at night with the engine shut off and nothing but the darkness of the night sky above you, and hopefully not rain and big waves. Does it get that dark at night?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So the great thing, so you'll never have a point where the engines turn off on the cruise ship, because that's actually powering the electricity on the ship as well. So you don't want them to do that. Then you're dealing with a Titanic situation. We don't want to go there.
Yeah, no, the Titanic's not funny. I'm not laughing at that. Yeah, no.
But it does get very quiet. After the sun goes down, the top decks tend to be silent. All the activity a lot of the ships have a nightclub, casino, stuff like that. There it's noisy. The rest of the ship starts to quiet down. You can go out on the decks and it's nice and peaceful. One of my wife and I's favorite activities is when we cruise, we put the kids to bed and then we'll go sit in the hot tub where it's nice and quiet, no loud music blaring, no nothing. Just kind of relax our muscles, wind down for the night, and get ready for bed ourselves.
And even with as dark as it can get at night on a cruise ship, you still can't just accidentally fall overboard.
Correct.
Okay, I'm really starting to think that all these damn news stories I'm hearing are just guys killing their wives.
It's very possible, and the overboard stories aren't interesting enough for them to do a follow-up 6 years later, unless it's like, the Netflix documentaries that pick up every once in a while.
Yeah.
They're quick to
am
cover the story the day of,
but not enough to keep it going in the news. So you hear about it for maybe a week and then it's gone. And then you hope that justice was gotten.
Yes. Even the infamous poop cruise died out of the news cycle after like 4 or 5 days.
Wait, which cruise?
So there was a Carnival cruise like 10 years ago, something like that had lost its engines while out at sea, and they had to get a tugboat to pull it from Mexico back to Louisiana. And
I remember that. Yes.
Turned the poop cruise because all the plumbing stopped working and everything, and it was a nightmare. But even that one, the news was all over. The ship pulled in, they were interviewing everybody. Like 2 days after the ship was back home, everybody forgot about it.
Because I'm assuming, though, nobody was dying or getting sick on it like they did with like I don't know if anyone died from the hantavirus that was just on the cruise ship and stuff like that. But like I know when outbreaks happen on ships, there's a lot more concern versus just a smelly cruise ship that needed to be tugboated back to shore. Ooh, that was fun to say. So you have this series, and I could talk about cruises for a while only because I have so many questions about them, but this is not a Q&A on cruise ships. You have this whole series, and you are also a travel agent, so that your knowledge of everything plays into your writing, from having been on over 20 cruises to being a travel agent. So if someone reads your books outside of the fictionalization of the sex scenes and interactions, the actual environment of the cruise ship and everything like that, the technical aspects of it, how accurate are they to real life versus anything you have to fictionalize for story flow?
So I have like a 70-page document that I have written up about the cruise ship that my stories are set on. And I have like fictionalized. My ship is fiction, but I have like borrowed lots of elements from real cruise ships that I have adapted onto my fictional ship. My ship's called the Elysian Serenade. Thus the name of the Romantic Sea Serenades. Everything's on the Serenade. But I approach all my stories from a character-driven standpoint, to where what the character needs to grow and develop comes first, and then I layer in the cruise ship elements, the vacation elements, and all those like fun extras into it. So if you're reading my stories, you're not necessarily going to say, oh my God, I've learned everything there is about a cruise ship. And ultimately, you could probably take my stories and just set them on a tropical island instead of a cruise ship, and they would still, kind of play out about the same. But the great thing about my cruise ship is I can take my cruise ship and visit different ports, and I can explore those islands in different ways.
No. That you said something that I want to touch on real quick because my mind wanders, and I want to ask you eventually about your. For anyone listening and not watching, he's got a Funko collection, Funko Pops, whatever they're called.
Yes.
Behind him, and I'm going to ask him about those in a bit. But there's something I wanted to ask you your thoughts on before I get to that. You said you could set yourself on an island and still have, kind of a similar story. In my mind, and this is going back, I'm assuming we're close to the same age, within about 7 years of each other. I was in high school, I think, when I was a senior in high school, I think, second semester when Scream came out. Close to the end of the school year. And I could be wrong on how old you are, so I apologize if I am. But like I said,
I'm not a big scary movie fan, so I can't pinpoint when that came out, per se.
How old are you? Let me ask you that.
I'm in my mid-40s.
Okay, so we're close enough that it was, if you say mid-40s, because I'm mid to late 40s now, you're at least a couple years younger than me, so you would have either been early high school or junior high when it came out, or sixth grade. In that movie, there's a line that has resonated with me all throughout these years, and it's the line that when Jamie Kennedy's character says motives are incidental. And to me, when I write, to a certain degree, settings are in, and I don't know why I said it with such pronunciation on that. Let me say it in my normal voice. Settings are incidental to a certain degree.
So I would agree with that. And I have a lot of, so on my cruise ship, I have a lot of variety of settings that I can tap into. Like I have a Latin inspired dance club that, I can have the characters salsa dancing and stuff. I've got a Irish bar where it's a little bit more of a friendly atmosphere, kind of that, everybody knows your name, cheers type of vibe to it. I've got just a regular dance club. I've got a casino. I've got the pool deck. I've got, showcases and stuff. I have the ability, if I know I need these characters to have this type of moment, I can send them to an area of the ship where I know that moment can be better facilitated. And so from that aspect, setting helps. But in an additional setting, because my cruise ship can move to different ports, I can take my characters to Key West because I know that there's something in Key West that can resonate with my characters. A story that I'm working on right now, I don't want to give too much away, but they actually wind up stranded on the island of Jamaica. And part of that whole storyline, I play with Jamaica as an island, and I actually dig into a little bit of the history of jerk chicken and stuff like that, and how it's more of a cultural thing as opposed to just a culinary thing.
So, little anecdotal thing for you about jerk chicken. My wife makes jerk, and the recipe calls for like 3 jalapenos, and we normally put like 5 in there. And one time she decided to substitute jalapenos for habaneros.
Well, it should call for habaneros. Or
maybe it called for habaneros, and she just added. I don't remember what it was, but she made the shrimp.
It's a typical, but habaneros is more commonly found in the States.
But she made it so spicy that it was a it was a test of will to see if we could eat it. We did, but it was one of those things, and it wasn't the only time she's done that because we grow peppers. When the Florida environment lets us grow peppers, we will grow peppers, and they get spicy. Just to bring it back around to the spicy thing. But you're writing a book, and it has Jamaica as a setting, and I know you can't tell us about the book. But as a foodie, how in depth does it get in the history of the jerk chicken? Like, do you actually give recipes in the book?
I don't give recipes inside the book, but I do often share recipes on social media and whatnot. In my first book, Emerald Tide, he was a chef at an Irish restaurant, and I personally developed a recipe for him that was a Philly cheesesteak inspired shepherd's pie. So.
Whoa, wait. As somebody who likes both shepherd's pie and Philly cheesesteaks, now I'm a vegetarian, so it's been a while since I've had a real Philly cheesesteak, but there are ways you can do it. But as somebody who likes those both flavors, where can we find this recipe?
So I have it. It's probably buried on my social media at this point, but it is in there. And then also I have so I have special edition books that I sell, and I include that recipe or a recipe card for that inside my special editions that I sell.
Hold on, I don't know if anyone hears us typing. We are looking this shit up right now while we talk. Oh my God. Hey, there you are. Look at that. Okay. There's no way to. Oh, there is a way to search your site. Okay. Billy, hold on. We're looking this shit up right now because if I can do this, Nope. Okay, I can't. Damn, that was a wah wah. I was on your Facebook page and I just Googled your page for Philly cheesesteak and it did not work. But that sounds like something wonderful we have to somehow get again because that is, oh my God, recipe. I can't spell recipe.
I'll see if I can find it and I'll just like forward that post over to you.
Wait, I found it. I found it. I'm so happy right now. Hold on, everyone. Okay, so legal copyright notice. You took it off of your website. It was on your website and it was taken off your website.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
But the picture of it, if you get, all right, anyone listening, go to facebook.com. Go to Facebook. I don't know why the hell I said .com. That's how old I am that I feel I need to say .com. But if you go to, fuck, the amount of tequila I've had tonight. If you go to Facebook and you look up J.D. Harbor, and it's the picture of him, and if you're not watching and you're listening, it's a picture of a gentleman, and the background is of an ocean or a sea horizon, whatever. That's him. Click it and search his Facebook page for recipe, and the first thing to pop up is this Philly cheesesteak shepherd's pie that looks freaking amazing. And then he had to be mean and take it off his website.
I'm after this call, I'm going to go onto my website and try to make sure that it is back live, so that way if anybody's looking for it, it'll be there. Because
here's the thing: is people. My wife will post recipes, and I love my wife to death. I had to talk about it for a second. She'll post recipes, and they're like vegetarian recipes, and people are like, "How do you make this with meat?" And it's like you substitute the tofu for meat. You just take out the tofu, you add meat. Or how do I make this meat recipe vegetarian? You take out the meat, you add tofu. It's real simple. You have to learn how to marinate tofu and all that shit because unmarinated tofu is just going to taste like the cheese or whatever the other shit you put in there is. But you marinate tofu, it's great. It's the whole thing by itself. But that being said, I need this recipe. Oh my God, I'm so excited right now. I haven't been this excited all day.
Well, I think I've seen, I know you're in Florida, so I know you got Publix. So I know I have seen at Publix that they have like a Beyond Meat, whatever, Philly cheesesteak options in the freezer section. So that could be an option for you.
They also have beef tips. Beyond Meat's got steak tips or something like that you can use. It's not quite the shredded beef that Philly cheesesteak, but it'll give you the flavor because the Beyond Meat, it's a bag for anyone listening who wants to try stuff a little slightly healthier, less killing alternative. They have these bags of steak tips by Beyond Meat, and you think, oh, that's a lot of money for not a lot of steak tips. Holy crap. If you play D&D, it's like a replenishing bag of many steak tips. Those things will last you forever. You laugh because you know the magic item I'm talking about. Me and my wife bought one of those bags, and we're like, oh, this isn't going to last. And it lasted us like months based on the recipes that we were making because you're just like, oh, a handful. Oh, how many handfuls? It's got like, it's worth the money. Check them out. Again, we need sponsors Beyond Meat.
Absolutely.
But no, that recipe looks phenomenal, and I wish I could pop it up on screen. But yeah, thank you for going to put that back on because I'm going to tell my wife about it and put it in our upcoming stuff. God, you made me so happy. God, I really am food motivated. Holy crap! I'm going to stop talking for a second.
No, I am right there with you on food motivation, and my wife is actually pushing me to put together a cruise cookbook of my recipes that I put in my books and stuff, along with some other things too.
Well, besides being besides being the host of a podcast with a modest listenership, I have other jobs, and one of them is editing. And I actually was editing the series for another author, and I'd mention her, but it's not her podcast episode. Who in her books mentions food throughout the series. They're all like, and then she goes into detail, and I'm like, you need to make a cookbook of this series. And I beg you, when you write books, or make a cookbook of your cruise, of your Romantic Serenade series, because people like food.
Yes.
and whether it's a cookbook for like food recipes or the drink recipes and stuff like that.
And completely honest, mine would probably be 50-50 cocktails and food.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. That is the wonderful, wonderful thing. Okay, let me ask you this. Let's bring it back to your books for a second. I'm such a good host. This is what happens.
I am loving the conversation right here.
Thank you. I'm always nervous because when I was asked to host this, I have like minimal podcasting experience to like host it. They're like, "You'll be great." I'm like, "All right, I'll do it." I have no fucking clue what I'm doing. So let me ask you this: so the books you've written, and you have the recipes and the food, the drinks and the food. Between the two of them, what is your favorite recipe you put in your books?
Ooh.
Let me drink some water.
I mean, the Philly cheesesteak shepherd's pie was pretty yummy. But I did find a jerk chicken recipe that has stolen my heart for this book that I'm working on right now. And I'm a sucker for jerk chicken, and this recipe that I found is awesome. I've added a little something extra to it. There's a Jamaican rum that's really good. Appleton Estates. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I have not. Sorry, that was really loud. I have not.
Yes. The tequila is inflating the words.
Holy shit, this is so good. I never in a million years would have thought I liked straight tequila, but apparently Herradura tequila is my new go-to drink. Jesus Christ.
Nice. I'm glad I can bring you back to the bottle that has been missing you. So I would have to say the jerk chicken recipe that I've been playing with lately is pretty good, and I've added some rum into it, which adds a little bit different element.
And that's Appleton Estates rum.
Yes, it's Appleton Estates. That's the one that I use. It's a nice spiced rum. It's got a lot of good spicy flavors in it, like cinnamon and cloves and all that.
See, my knowledge of rum is very limited. Like, obviously, Captain Morgan, Kraken rum, I started drinking when it first came out, which if you meet someone for the first time and you ask them if they ever tried Kraken rum, make sure you say Kraken and not crack and. Whole mistake right there. And then like
lead you down to a different conversation that could be equally entertaining.
Different conversation and very strange looks going, why would you drink crack and rum? And Sailor Jerry's, like those are my rum, you know what I'm saying? Knowledge is right there. So it's not very broad. But Appleton Estates, I'm definitely going to have to try because cooking with alcohol, the alcohol cooks off. You're not going to get drunk from cooking with alcohol unless you don't cook the alcohol, but it adds a flavor. So cooking with alcohol is always fun. Yeah. The only exception to getting drunk while eating is rum cake, because a rum cake, well, made with rum, also has rum poured over the top. And if you pour too much rum, you will get drunk, but it tastes wonderful.
There's no rules.
No rules. No rules.
Yeah.
That's okay. Let's talk about rules for a second. Jeez, I am good. Let's talk about rules for a second. Life should not have rules. I mean, obviously the moral rules of don't kill people, don't hurt animals, don't, do things, consent is king type stuff. But like, why just cook with what you want to cook with?
Yes, I agree.
And if you don't want to cook out all the alcohol, damn it, get drunk while eating that Jamaican jerk chicken. Please don't make a cocktail out of it. Oh, that's what I wanted to ask you about. Oh, I'm done forming complete sentences. Have you ever drinking, and it's under a few different names. I call it a Shanghai tea. Other people call it a Tokyo tea. Other people call it a Jade Dragon. Have you ever had any of those three drinks?
I don't think that I have.
Okay. So, growing up
dangerous.
Well, it is very dangerous, but it's fun. Growing up in Chicago, you learn that a proper Long Island doesn't have tequila. Now, in the South, it's different, But up north, a proper Long Island doesn't have tequila. Anything with tequila is called a Texas tea instead of a Long Island iced tea. But a Long Island is your gin, your vodka, your rum, your triple sec, and then your sweet and sour mix to fill, and you top it with Coke. Now, a Shanghai tea, as I learned it, and I first learned this drink back in like 99, 98. I was in Quad Cities on a very bad blind date, and I was at a sorority dance, and this bartender made me a drink, and I was under 21, so thank you, bartender. And I was like, give me something strong. He's like, I got you. Here's something called a Shanghai tea. And it's your gin, your vodka, your rum, your triple sec, like a Long Island. Fill it with sweet and sour mix. And you top it with Midori, which for anyone who doesn't know, Midori is a melon-flavored liqueur, and it is fantastic. Now, some people will top it as well with Midori and Sprite. I just do Midori because screw mixers, except for the sour mix. If you've never had that, you need to try it. I highly encourage everyone to drink it as long as they're not driving. It is a drink I think you might like, especially if you like mixed drinks like margaritas.
I might have to look it up.
That is my thing. That and try absinthe.
I have tried absinthe in Germany.
Okay, so you had wormwood distilled absinthe then?
Yes, I had the real shit.
Now, okay, two things about that. Wormwood, some absinthe in the United States is distilled from wormwood. Others are not, so you have to be careful about what you buy. But if you're overseas, you're going to have wormwood distilled absinthe. Absinthe does not, or at least should not, make you hallucinate unless the absinthe has gone bad.
Right.
But that being said, for anyone who's been drunk before and not had absinthe, how would you describe the intoxication of real absinthe compared to alcohol?
So it's been a very long time since I've had the real absinthe. I think I had a cocktail that had some absinthe in it a couple years ago, but it was just, just like any other liqueur.
Okay.
Whatever.
No.
I was like barely 21 when I was drinking that over in Germany, and that was we had a layover coming back from Iraq one time in Germany, and the command, you're not supposed to drink in uniform, even though we're traveling and all that. Every once in a while, you get a flight commander who's like, "Fuck it, we're in Germany. Have a beer, have whatever." And one of my flights back from Iraq, they said, "Yeah, have a drink. You just survived war, so fucking have a drink. You're not driving. You're getting on the plane." So I had some absinthe back then, and I remember I slept really good on the flight. So I can tell you that much.
Absinthe is a very different kind of intoxication, and it's definitely again, don't operate heavy machinery, but it is definitely different, and at least you slept well. Alcohol never makes me sleep well. It always gives me weird dreams, so tonight's going to be an odd night for me.
It does that for me now that I've gotten older.
So, all right, here's something. We've been talking for a while now, and people who are listening are intrigued. They want to know where they can find your books and follow you online. So give us a shameless self-promotion.
Yes. So I'm most active on Instagram. My handle is at JD Harbor, all one word. I'm also on TikTok, barely, but my handle there is at jd.harbor, or you can just find my website, jdharbor.com, and that has links to everywhere you can find me additionally. If you're in the local Florida area, I'm often popping up at bookstores or local book events, so you can find me there. Or if you want to find me on a cruise ship, look up loveletcruise.com, and there's a sailing going in March of next year that I'll be sailing on as a hosted author, as well as several others that are fabulous authors.
And what is the name of this event?
It's the Lovelet Cruise. So you find it at loveletcruise.com.
Lovelet, Lovette or something like that.
Lovelit. So love literature. Sure.
There we go. Okay, Lovelet. Thank you. That's my accent. That is my accent. I'm like Lovelet. Yeah, No. Loveliteraturecruise.com. Thank you.
Right.
That is totally my accent ruining my ability to sound intelligent there.
Or based on this conversation tonight and based on, being a cruise, you love getting lit.
I am not that big of a drinker. I will drink more on this show than I do any given day of the week. And that's only if my guest is drinking. If my guest isn't drinking, I'm not drinking because it's just what it is. But like, I'll sit when you're talking, you know what I'm saying? I'll sit. So like this glass was filled up to there. And that's a good 5-6 shots I just had.
But you know what? It was a fabulous conversation. I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Thank you. Oh my God. So
we're going to get you to go viral on this one podcast.
I'm hoping so. It's just, you never know what's going to happen. It's like a roll of the dice coming out of the show. I have to ask, and I try and ask all authors this if I remember, if you had one piece of writing advice to give to an aspiring writer, what would that be?
So my piece of advice would be to write the book. Don't give a fuck about making each chapter perfect or spelling and all that. Get it on paper. Go back later and edit. I live by the advice that Ernest Hemingway may or may not have once said: write drunk, edit sober, and you'll have a good time doing it.
I can't tell you the number of days I've written drunk back in my earlier years. So yes, I can definitely agree with that. Write drunk, edit sober, even if it's just emotionally drunk.
Yes.
Oh my God. Author J.D. Harper, everyone, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I have had a blast tonight. You have opened my mind to so many things, including the fact that I now liked añejo tequilas and the fact that you can make a shepherd's pie out of Philly cheesesteak. Holy shit, I cannot wait to try this recipe. For everyone listening who's into, romance books, go pick him up. He's got his Romanticy Serenade series. Jesus Christ, if it had to take me that long to think of the word series. Romanticy Serenade series. Go check him out. J.D. Harper. He's on all sorts of socials. Hunt him down. He's in Orlando. Look him up. Find him. Support him, because high sea romances should be more of a rage than they are. Until next time, remember, folks, it costs nothing to be kind. Until next time, see you then. J.D. Stick.
Thank you for listening to Drinking with Authors. Join us next time for another fun conversation with an author over drinks.